Welcome to the We're Finished podcast, where three grown men talk about Pokemon and trying to relive our childhoods while having simultaneously a serious conversation about Pokemon.
Semi.
Okay. The three grading companies.
Dun 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 dun.
Oh.
I mean, it's really. I think the point of this is really just we're gonna try to determine what's the pros and cons of each. I guess is that what we're doing? Is that the plan?
Sounds about right.
Basically anything we can think of that comes to these grading companies. Let's just start topic by topic.
Actually, let's start there then. Yeah, Johnny. Because I think we'll go really deep into PSA at some point. So let's probably go CGC, Beckett, and then we'll kind of do PSA. So yeah, Johnny, why don't you kind of quickly just kind of talk about your experience, and then we'll kind of go into some more detail, black and white details about.
Yeah, what made you start with them?
So when I started collecting with you guys, I had no interest in grading because I just didn't know how to do it.
I didn't even know that.
And then Steve was just trying to explain to me all the grading process while we were talking about it, and you have to ship it out, you gotta carefully do all this stuff, and I was just I don't want to do any of that. I guess I'll just wait until you guys decide to do it for me or something. And it just never came up. So then I had a buddy in the gym from years ago, spring back up. He was in town, and I was just talking to him about getting into Pokemon and all that stuff, and he's like, no, dude, I'm your guy. And he started to explain to me that he was a CGC middleman guy, and he would just cut deals to get a bunch of bulk cards graded.
So you got hit with the CGC card grading drug dealer guy.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, so we were looking at the base prices at the time to grade with the company, and it was pretty fair. So I was like, okay, it looked like a discount, so I might as well just do it, because obviously I just said I wanted nothing to do with any shipping or anything. As long as I could just give my cards to somebody to do it,
convenience
for me, it's just more convenience. I was I was just I don't want to do any of that. If you know how to do it, I'm just gonna give you my cards, and then I just want to see the return later, and then just see how this works out. Maybe my cards are shit. I have no idea.
If that was a PSA or Beckett person that did the exact same thing, would that have made you do that, or was it something about CGC that also made you do it?
I also liked the slabs. I just like the color of it, the blue. And then the big differences when I was looking at the grading companies themselves is I didn't really care for the black and gold with BGS, and then PSA just looked a little plain, but obviously it was the meta at the time, 2 years ago. It's still the meta.
It never stopped being the meta.
Yeah, it's still the meta. PSA is still the meta, but I refused to care about the meta at the time. I was I don't give a shit about that. And then I also, when researching all the companies, that everyone just kept saying that CGC compared to PSA, they grade a lot more stricter or harder for a 10, because they had two different 10s. They had a pristine 10 and they had the perfect 10,
and they had
with the subgrades. Yeah, plus in order to get the perfect 10, you needed the subgrades, so you had to pay extra to get the subgrades, which I appreciated, because it gave you a little more insight to what was flawed with your card compared to PSA, who just still doesn't tell you. So it's just your guess is as good as mine. And so that was cool. So I got a couple cards subgraded for the first time. At the same time, I gave cards in to grade for the very first time, just to see what it would look like, just for shits. And the returns were pretty good. They were very solid. And I still have a bunch of them and I still appreciate the blue slab, the blue headers. and I only have 110, and it's got the gold. So the blue and gold is just, I don't know. There's
Yeah,
something about
let's
it.
actually talk about the blue slabs.
Let's stay on CGC. CGC's got they got topics.
Right. There's a whole history that we could kind of dive into over the past year. It's kind of been kind of crazy. I'm just gonna say it, and I think it's kind of a general consensus. Yeah. But it's this, even like, okay, so with the CGCs, they obviously, as you probably know, as the audience probably knows. Hold on. They made a switch from your standard blue to the black and white. And I gotta say, the CGC slabs, they're just really clear. Like, they're like, like I was just kind of saying before, I don't think I'm the only one to say that. Like, I think like there's like I just like the way it feels in the hand too. Like, there's like as opposed to a PSA slab, this feels just a little higher quality.
Like look at this thing.
That's what you pristine 10? That's actually pretty cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, this is my very first 10. The VMAX Climax Charizard.
I'm VMAX Climaxing right now.
I'm just totally happy with that blue and yellow.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is I am. I think there's going to be a premium with some of the older blue slabs. I totally like this was a 9.5, so I obviously wanted to upgrade this to the 10. But yeah, I think like some of the older blue slabs for sure are going to. Well, I shouldn't say for sure, but my bet is that some of those will be more sought after than probably a higher pop of the modern slab in the same grade. Like, for instance, I bought a Masaki Alakazam in the old slab, the blue slab, mainly just because I like the way it looked. Like, I just really like the way the purple and the blue kind of pop off one another. But yeah, I think at the time, like, the population on the blue slab was like 8, like that's it. So yeah, if like any of those get converted and like there's just less and less of those, I think there's like for instances like that, I think that's totally something that collectors will seek after. Also, there's still those perfect 10s as well, like their version of the black label.
Yeah, pristines.
And those, is it pristine? Is that the pristine or is that perfect? No. There's perfect as well.
No, this one's pristine. Pristine is no subgrades, and then perfect 10 is perfect 10 is all 10 subgrades. Pristine is like 9.5, I believe, and then with the transition to the new slabs, perfect example. Just that card.
The greatest card of all time, Lieutenant Yoshida. But yeah, I really I really like this their like mini black label kind of. And it's obviously a lot easier to get as opposed to real black label. It's like JV black label. But no, I think overall it was an improvement to I initially
I think on varsity.
I think everyone was kind of tight that they changed it up. I was too.
It just changed so many things. I think that's what the issue was.
Well, the grading scale was the biggest thing. I think if they just changed the labels, I think we probably would have been okay.
Yeah, the labels are very bland.
Less crazy. I like them now. I think it just lets the card speak more for itself and just gives you like the information. And then when I think it was like a specific choice. Well, obviously it was a specific choice to have everything kind of be black and white, and then the pristine is like the gold standard, you know. So, yeah, I think overall though this was probably a better choice for just the company. Also, I was looking at and I want to get your guys' opinions on this. Yeah, I think I know what it is, but I'll ask it anyways. Okay, so they removed subgrades. Now, I was listening a while back to. Are you guys familiar with TCA Gaming? He's like a big seller on eBay, but he also has a YouTube channel.
Does he just sit in his car and talk?
Not sure. Maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
The video I saw a while back, I don't think he was, but
okay.
He was specifically saying that he doesn't actually even when he goes to Beckett, he doesn't do subgrades because you have actually a better chance of getting a better grade without subgrades because they have to be really meticulous about what they're reviewing, so they could give really like exact grades for like each thing, and because of that, they're going to be harsher with the grade. So he was actually happy to see that there's going to be like no subgrades anymore because it'll just be better for the overall grade of the card. Now, that's like a double-edged sword, right? Because then you just increase pop in the higher end stuff. But yeah, what's your guys' general opinions on subgrades?
I feel like Johnny, you can go, and I'm gonna be the complete opposite spectrum. Because I feel like you guys both have gone into CGC. I'll tell you my thoughts, but go ahead.
I just think it's unique to get subgrades, and just having the option there just makes it
some more info better, basically.
Yeah, I do appreciate the info part of it, the insight, because obviously other grading companies just don't give you any transparency whatsoever, and we've seen that before with our turnarounds. Really, yeah, I think transparency is a big positive with the subgrades. Obviously, you have to pay for it extra.
You sure do.
But I think people really do pay for it extra just because of that. Not as just a specific reason, like just the number one reason, but obviously it gives you another value play into getting a different type of tier 10.
Yeah.
So that's another niche thing that people like to do.
So you like
what was I going to say?
You actually prefer when I kept it.
Yeah. Okay. So in terms of like true clarity, so like in an ideal world, then would you prefer? And Johnny, this is specifically for you. Would you prefer like if you got grader notes at the end?
Not like a whole essay of stuff, but maybe like bullet points would be cool.
Yeah, like ideal world, you'd like that.
Yeah, yeah. Anything is better than nothing.
Fair. Yeah, I'm a bit like agnostic.
Just like even like even if it was like default like quotes in there, like corner, bullet point corner.
Right.
Like,
we didn't give you the
hollow scratch or something like that. Just like one thing. Like, why is this a 9, not a 10? And then like you could just give me one bullet point because that's all it really takes, right? So
that's a good point. I think if the grading companies actually would be like, okay, we know this could be a 10. This is the reason why it's not. Like, I think that would be good. A good way to like kind of split the difference, and because
it really is only one.
I don't need grader notes for between a 4 and a 5, but I would like to know, like, there's been a couple of times where we've gotten 9.5s and stuff, and we're like, what? Why? It's perfect.
And it would actually save because everybody just cracks and resubmits. Like nobody respects their process to say, oh, I don't want to I don't want to mess up with the population reports.
Right.
Everybody is messing with the population reports by cracking and resubmitting, and that's their
Shit, do
fault.
you like even it like you want me to pay an extra $3 a slab for you to give me grader notes? Fine. Like you want it to be
You
a
do
money
that?
grab? Yeah, I'll pay like if in reason. Like
I think
don't
I
make
do
me pay
that
an extra
for.
don't make me pay an extra $10 per card. Maybe
Hmm.
like I don't know, like something like 5 or under per card if I really wish to have that specific card.
That's fair. Pay for the service.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, I think if like it was I had like a really expensive card, like 1,000 plus. That's really expensive for us. And I'd probably do something like that. Like be like, okay, if I just crack this, I don't know, Moonbryon, and I'd sent that in and it didn't get a 10, I'd want to know why, for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe I am changing my opinion a little bit on that.
Plus, I guess that's why you see a lot of different new grading companies trying to start up now because they're not satisfied.
We'll get into that. We'll definitely get into that. But yeah, we'll leave that kind of closer to the end. But yeah, no, I get what you're saying. We'll definitely dive into that in a little bit. So yeah, Vahid, what did you want to kind of go running through CGC? Are we gonna have a debate right
now? All right.
Oh, do it.
CGC is
Let's
the
do
fucking stepson of the grading industry. That's the hand-me-down brother when all the PSAs and Beckett's are out playing and you're like, oh, I'm tired. Hey, CGC, you want a shot at it? I'm going to go sit on the bench for a second. I need some water. That's basically how they came into this industry. PSA was like, all right, you guys love us too much. Beckett's like, all right, you guys really love our black labels. CGC, go ahead, you take a shot at it because we are going to charge everyone $120 a card and no one's going to pay this. So CGC said, now is our time. And they entered the market. They got a lot of people to give them market share. And I respect it. Let's not take away the strategy. It made a lot of sense. And they gave them a huge market share to the point where, they actually did surpass Beckett. I'll say that, not in overall quality, but market share, which I think does matter when you look at stuff like this. So they took their moment, they shined. What I don't like, if you talk about different topics of this, right? We mentioned a couple things: color change, the grading scale change, a couple things there, right? I think the color change was, a little unfortunate. I actually, leaning towards like what Johnny said, I actually like the blue. I think it made them very unique. I think it very much distinguished. Like you could see the slab from a mile away and know it was CGC. And I think in an industry like this, especially with all the the naysayers, the newcomers, like they're all choosing this like similar black and gray or, insert generic color or just go way off freaking the mark and go, lime green, right? It's like, if you're trying to just be like a general color, that's what they ended up doing by going this gray route. And I just don't think it looks that good. I think the blue was really nice. I think for a lot of the cards, especially like specific cards, like sometimes you'd pick a card in a CGC slab because it looked good in blue with the blue backdrop. So I think they kind of shot themselves in the foot there. They kind of, they very much came in hot and then they all of a sudden just like did everything they could to be like everybody else. And I think that hurt them because I think color wise, they just look like everyone else. And, color being one thing, but the subgrades, I think people did appreciate the subgrades. I think that's what made them different from PSA. That's what made them a better version of Beckett, right? Is that you could do an affordable card. It was made for the people, and you could still figure out why your card wasn't perfect. And they'd give you subgrades, 9.5s. I think people appreciated that. So when they took that away, it's like, what are you guys doing? For me, it's like, that was a huge step back. And I think now, yes, they took a huge market share and people still submit with them because they have their reasons. And I think they've definitely created a cult, a following of CGC. I love it. I love it. CGC to the moon, But, it's like, they're just like underdog fanning at this point. And at the end of the day, PSA is always going to reign top. Beckett's still going to have its specific things. And when CGC did what they did with the subgrades, I think a lot of people, especially the 9.5 submitters that got their 10s, that were basically just like participation ribbons to immediately get a 10. I think when that happened, the market really responded and told everybody like, hey, we know some of these cards are fake 10s, and people started valuing them less. And I think that never really went away. I think even to this day, you look at, people, vendors, you look at those streams, people selling cards and card shows, everybody is automatically under, if you looked at a 10 and a 10 or a 9 and a 9 CGC versus PSA, they always value the CGC less, right? And everybody knows it's harder to sell them, it's harder to buy them. So I just think they're taking a lot of steps in the wrong direction, but they have a cult. They have a cult following, and people who bought a lot of CGC will always say this is going to go to the moon. They have better grading standards, blah, blah, blah. And we can talk about grading standards in a second, another topic, but I just think they're the stepson, and we are just including them at the dinner table because they're family now. But it's definitely not your star child. And I'll end on that thought.
All right, I like it. I like it.
Bring the heat.
It's some compelling arguments. I don't want to go too deep because we have a lot to go over. We still haven't even talked about the other two companies.
Yeah.
I will say this. I think they've obviously not been around that long. So on the grand scheme of most, investing market things, 3-4 years is like a super minuscule time frame. So all the things we're looking at right now and kind of talking about is really just held under a microscope in that sense.
In a
small
time frame, you're saying.
Yeah, I think if as long as they have now set their standard for the next quarter century, I think this will be a small speed bump in what will probably be a pretty lucrative venture, because I think
you agree it's a speed bump.
Right. Right now it is. Yeah. But I think ultimately,
I'm just making sure.
I think well, here's the thing. I think they are probably, in terms of service, better than service. Like, you sending in your card, getting it back, and getting a grade you can at least say is like
fair.
Better than everything else besides possibly the other two. I think that's something worthwhile, and I would even say it's better than probably Beckett.
I will counter that
in that sense.
I will counter that and
real quick. Okay, go.
Really quick.
Yeah,
I think old CGC was very strict and very precise. I think new CGC has very questionable CGC 10s, CGC 9.5s.
Do you think that's a relative thing? Like, do you think they're any better or worse right now than PSA? Do you think PSA is stricter than CGC?
I can't answer that. I haven't graded with CGC since they switched over the label.
CGC was very strict, and now they are just very. It lenient. Seems like they're just on par with like PSA. Okay, it seems like, if not, maybe a little easier. I don't know. It's hard to tell.
I would say a little bit easier.
It's all anecdotal right now. So
it's all anecdotal. It's still very, these labels are relatively new still. The only thing I'm going to base it off of is I've been trying to find cards that I need in PSAs, especially, like Southern Islands as an example. and every single CGC 10, CGC 9.5 has just like so much whitening on it to the point where we would get demolished on PSA scale.
That's
So
fair.
I don't know if they just changed what they value or care about, but for us, you know, I mean, we see one little speck of whitening and we're like, you know, maybe we don't submit this at all, you know. So
yeah,
that's just something I've noticed from the old labels.
And I think that's bad. I think that's not good.
Yeah, I agree.
But I've seen it with PSA too. Like I bought. I think I showed you that Gengar I bought. I'll see if I could grab it in a little bit. But it's a 9. It's like they gave it a 9, but there's clearly like a really big white speck on the back of that thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that shouldn't be a 9. And now I understand completely why the guy sold it. Without showing the back. But
wow.
I also want to really quick just kind of talk about I think CGC is for sure here to stay. I
agree.
They are not going anywhere. They have
They're family now. You can't.
They are, yes. The step kid. No, but they are pretty OG though, because let's not forget.
They have a room. It's under the stairs. It's still there.
They did comic grading for a real long time.
Valid. Oh,
before they did.
Man.
So they have an authenticity.
How many props do you have
with their?
I have a whole pile of crap. But yeah, they did comics for a long time. So I mean, granted, I'm sure that's like a whole different thing. The grading scale is way different too. Like you'll never see a 10 basically in comics. Like you're hoping for a 9.8. Like that's how like minute the scaling is there. Video games, yeah.
Is that also CGC that does those grades, or is that somebody else?
They may. I can't confirm that, but yeah. So I think they even if they're like taking L's in the market right now, which they're not at all. I think their comics will supplement a lot of that loss because they're like the only ones in that space. Really, they're like basically bigger than PSA in the comic space, unless you need to get like something like signature verified, which is like kind of a mostly smaller like problem. You would go with CGC every time. Okay, let's pivot a little bit, just a little bit. We're not gonna. We'll kind of segue this question into, I guess we'll go into Beckett. So we'll go. So what do you guys in general think about half grades? Like 0.5s.
CGC still does that, right? They still
yes.
do that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like it is good. I think part of me says if PSA did it, I'd probably be more mad at my returns. Like I would rather it be either good, like decent, or amazing. You know, I haven't submitted to Beckett a lot. I got a 9.5 on that. That Crown Zenith Giratina.
This sucks. Getting this sucks.
Yeah,
it feels bad.
That's a big nut tap.
It's for modern. It sucks. If that's vintage, you're happy with a 9.5.
Yeah. Like, it's nice. It's nice that someone's getting specific, but you just don't want to see it. You know?
You don't.
You just don't want to see it. The
you don't put those. You don't put that in the glass casing. That's not displayed.
That's the one that goes behind the other cards. And then you always think like, do I resub? Do I resub? You know, it's
yeah.
Do I get my
so
yeah.
I think in general, I don't like it.
Subgrades? You don't like subgrades?
Yeah. No. The half grades. Oh, well, both. I don't like the half grade for cards. I mean, comics are a different thing. Well, that's a whole separate thing. But for the cards, I just if it's the 10, it's the 10.
It's a nut
and then
tap.
If it's
like John says, it's a nut tap. It's like you thought, and they even say gem mint. So it's like, no, you're lying to me. You know,
right? plus CGC. Remember, CGC allowed you to resubmit your 9.5 for the 10 label, so it really is a fucking 10.
Right.
And now they have a new 9.5.
Yeah, you guys are cucking us. Like, this is
like, why even do this?
yeah. It's like, oh, wait a minute. So it really is a 10. You fucks. That's exactly what they told you for money, because they made you resub the 9.5 for like, what was it? Was it $15
to resub
to get the new label into a 10?
It was 5. It was 5.
It was like $5 at
Wow,
the time, but they changed it. It was $5 initially.
Oh,
yeah,
people,
yeah. The volume kept coming in, and they're like, "Wait a minute, this is a money grab. We can get we can get more for this," because everybody's like, we had so many 9.5s. They didn't realize there were so many 9.5s that they gave out, I guess. And then they were like, "Oh, wait a minute, we're gonna change it." Because I remember initially I put the 9.5s in with you, Steve, and then like I think a few weeks later, maybe a month, it wasn't like $5 anymore.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah, it's definitely a nut tap, for sure. I think just to bring it back to your point, I don't like it. I understand it. I respect it. I just don't want to see it on my cards. I still stare at the market price of that card that I got, and I'm just like, why won't I just get a PSA 10 instead? Like, it was like very close to a black label, or it was like two numbers, like 9.5, 9.5, 10, 10. So I'm like, dude, why don't I take the PSA 10? I'm losing money on this, even just having this in this thing.
Okay, so I guess this is like the perfect segue into like Beckett now, because like I don't think they have any like type of membership to like do like the base level grading.
They don't.
I don't think they do.
I know nothing about Beckett.
Yeah,
it's just you two.
So so my very limited experience with Beckett.
It's not user friendly. I'll say that.
It's So to start with, it seems like they're getting less cards to grade. Again, this is anecdotal. I'm talking kind of out of my ass, but it seems like they're getting less cards to grade, but they're taking longer, and they're just like not telling you. And I think we did kind of get spoiled with the PSA Dominoes tracker, because it kind of tells you like everything that they're doing.
Dominoes tracker, you're hilarious.
We're cooking.
We're cooking.
But the like just Beckett is like, they barely let you know like that they got the cards. Like, I had to like physically like email them to be like, hey, did you get these cards? Like, do you have like oh yeah, we got it.
Yeah,
like, I got
a card bag.
I got an email like that day, and then somehow it ended up the system updated on on their end. Like, oh, okay. So you have to kind of push them along, it feels like.
You know what Beckett feels like? Beckett feels like that expensive like yacht club that we like nobody can really afford, but everyone wants to be a part of it. You know, it's like a country club or something. It's like you gotta pay to play. If you get that shiny gold, you know you are one of a kind.
To kind of, yeah, I mean that was basically what we were going for. We were going for the black label, which we'll kind of have for later in later discussion. Yeah. But so yeah, we were shooting for the black label, Vahid and I, on two separate occasions. I sent in 2 cards, one of them being that Leafeon, because I basically pulled it that day when I was already planning on submitting something else. And so I said, I'll throw it in the submission. The whole thing, including shipping, including everything, those 2 cards came to like $80 or something.
Yeah.
And they were very clean. They were really clean. And I was like, okay, I'll be like, happy if like I get a 9.5 out of 10. Like, that'll be that. And I honestly, like, I guess my standards were too high. I got a 9.5, but then one of them came back a 9, and that was like really, really disappointing. I ended up
disgusting looking.
That's another
The
thing.
different
Is
label,
those
everything.
silver labels?
Ugh.
There's only one 9 I have that I actually like really like, which I'll show off in a future thing. You guys have already seen it, but the so getting that 9 was kind of like a kick in the gut, and I ended up cracking it, submitting it to PSA, and I got myself a 10. but think about the cost of that. You know, we spent $80 for that, or I spent $80 for that submission.
You spent $55
don't know what to do
to get that card graded.
Yeah.
Basically,
so
you split that in half and add the cost.
and then when I cracked it and resubmitted to PSA, that's another $15 plus membership fees and stuff. So yeah, that ended up being like not cost effective. So I think if you're gonna keep if I think that's really what keeps Beckett afloat, because people will put up with a lot of stuff for that lottery ticket. And
high risk, high reward.
The Willy Wonka gold.
Yeah, I think that's really it, because I don't know, like you have like a specific example of like I think we can confidently say with Beckett, if it's like 9.5 plus, it's pretty accurate. Mm-hmm. But if it's under that, I think it's a little more hit or miss. Like you have an 8.5 or something of a card that looks not great.
Oh, you're right. That one I picked up, the Vaporeon.
And that was really messed up. Like I think if that's that's like probably like a 7 or something in a PSA. Like it had a lot of whitening.
Yeah.
And again, this is one example.
I'm sure CGC would give it a 10. We gotta get a soundboard.
I don't even want to. You're making me defend CGC, and I really don't want to.
Are you turning red?
It's the lighting. I took some niacin. That's what it is. Anyways, am I actually turning red?
Yeah, you are. But continue.
Actually, might be the niacin. I might actually be red.
Yeah, you look burnt, bro.
So, all right. Note to self: don't take niacin. This is gonna be funny. Actually, wait. I'll show you. A little aside, I took 2 of these. I usually take 2 of these after my workouts. I took it a little later.
That's hilarious.
And it's going to make me beat red probably in a little bit.
No, it's a CGC
I didn't even think about it.
But it's okay. Continue.
not B3, CGC.
Not BGS.
BGs are for me. Shout out to your boy. To the bird.
So yeah, that was a little inside baseball. How do we feel about black labels?
I think they're absolutely perfect. I'll just say what it is. I've been dying for one. I know I'll never have one unless it's some stupid modern card, because it's way too expensive. It is, good for you. That is. Let me bring it a little closer. Show the people at home.
It's the model at the bar.
Maybe it was.
It's the model at the bar. That's hilarious.
Yeah, no, it's the epitome of a perfect. Everything about it is just like luxurious. It's perfect. It's elite. The writing, the color, black and gold. You just, it even has its own. Like you can just say black label, and people will immediately their ears perk up. They immediately.
There's only one. They don't even associate it with CGC.
CGC's pristine 10. They literally don't. Bring out your stupid fucking. What's that one card that you just had? Bring that stupid thing out.
That's actually.
This is all that.
Let's compare it.
Let's compare it.
Lieutenant Yoshida.
The perfect card. Come on, let's see it. Now we saw a black label Beckett, and that like. again, the stepbrother syndrome. They're trying to do it like Beckett, and it just doesn't look good. I mean, it's decent, but yeah, no, that thing on the left, it's elite. It's elite, and to your point, it keeps them alive because people will always try to get a black label, and it like 10x's your card, which is, the market will always pay it. The market will respect it. I've seen videos of people submitting. They're like, I'm at a trade show. I'm going to trade my 2 Moonbryons, my Dark Charizard, my this, my that, my that, my this, my this. And they have like 8 cards that are all worth like freaking like 10 to 15 grand. And it's like, what are you trading for? 1 black label Moonbryon. And they're just like so proud. Like, yeah, like that should tell you everything. That someone's willing to trade you 2 PSA 10 Moonbryons and like 8 other cards for 1 black label. So
pops don't lie though. Very low pop.
Extremely low pop. Like actual, and nobody can ever say like that black label's like there's whitening on that, there's a scratch on that. Like they actually are correctly given a 10.
But like we were kind of just saying, it's just that's really what saves them. People will put up with everything. The second though, like if the pops start getting out of control, they start handing those out. Man, that'll screw everything up for the whole business. Like they live and die off the black label.
I think they know that. I think they wouldn't do it. I think they like this like exclusivity of it, which is like you can't sit with this. It's like they sit in that, and they're very happily barely getting submissions because they're like, all right, you guys can't play our game. Like,
are they known for any other grading, or is it just
sports cards?
I think they're more known for sports cards.
They like kind of started in sports cards, and they've kind of always held that kind of supreme.
That's their turf.
Yeah,
that actually is probably we're so honed in on the Pokemon / other TCG stuff.
Yeah,
I think that's actually probably their bread and butter. Is it's the
sports cards market.
Is the sports stuff. So. Yeah, I think a lot of maybe some of the stuff I was saying before needs to be amended because of the fact that sports cards do exist. But it's like the exact opposite in terms of what like is like with CGC. It's like they are definitely not like surviving off of sports cards. It's really just the TCG stuff.
For who?
CGC. I don't think they make any money off of sports card stuff.
No, I think they very much attack the pandemic Pokemon market.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd even doubt if I've even seen in my entire life a Yu-Gi-Oh card even in a CGC slab.
That's a good point. I've seen a couple One Piece, but definitely, I don't think I've seen any Yu-Gi-Oh.
Like even one, I can't even think of one. So. Yeah.
So Johnny, you're pro black label though?
I'm definitely pro black label because I know I'll never get one.
Are you pro trying to get one? Are you pro submitting to get one or no?
I am very much, if I ever hit that huge parlay or like that big round at the casino, I'm gonna get my chase in a black label. But
how
realistically,
would you submit a PSA or CGC 10 and go for it, or would you go like raw dog on a new card?
Oh, I'll raw dog hard. Like, no, we're not going with another gamble.
Clip it.
No. So you're talking about you'd buy one outright. That's what
I'll buy one. That's outright. What you meant by raw dog. Because I'm not cracking the slab to do that. That's like gambling.
No, I see.
Like making money to gamble and win, and then gamble again. That's like me basically winning and then throwing my winnings again back in.
That's more. Literally what you do.
Yeah, and I lose. So like I already know.
All right.
My lifetime score on this, my record is not good. So I will not be doing that.
At least
okay.
It's very responsible of you, Johnny.
Okay, so we're gushing kind of about the CGC it's not the BGS Black Label and how cool it looks. I will say my statement still stands. I think the fact Okay, I'm gonna tell a quick little story. I think the fact that CGC, well, CGC's, I think plastic is still better than Beckett's. Now, Beckett's is like thick and nice. It's like it feels protected, but in terms of just like visual quality, I think it's makes the card look better. Now I will, because I think part of the reason, and I was talking about when I got that 9, I think part of the reason I got that 9 is because they actually encapsulate their cards in a sleeve before they put it in the slab. So when I was actually looking at the 9,
you think they fumbled their card?
Before I cracked it to submit it to PSA, I looked at it and I was like, "Ooh, did they screw up my card? There's like a big scratch or something on the card." And I was like, that definitely wasn't there when I submitted that. I was like, I purposely submitted it because I thought it was perfect for that, trying for that black label. I cracked it. I took the risk. I cracked it, opened it, and lo and behold, the scuff was on the sleeve.
Ooh.
Dun, dun, dun.
And so I was like, maybe they because I think most of these grading companies do like 2 rounds of grading. Like they do their first round and then the second round,
Really?
will do like a quality check. Mm-hmm. And maybe by that time, I don't know. I don't know the process, but maybe by that time they had the sleeve on it or something. And the guy was like, "Oh, there's a scuff on it." Or I don't know.
Those dirty dogs.
I don't know.
You're gonna be an amazing freaking. You're gonna be an amazing science experiment. All 3 of us getting a job at different grading companies to see what they do for science.
I'm sure there's people that do that. But the
great thumbnail. We all got jobs at grading companies.
Well, that's the thing. When you can take advantage of a market like that and like really know the ins and outs of it, you don't sell that information, even if you
even for clicks?
maximize that for your own personal gain, and you don't.
It's
tell
only for
soul.
the kids. Yeah, fuck them kids.
That's for the Patreon.
That's basically what happens in the stock market all the time. All the stuff they're selling you doesn't work. All the stuff they're selling you, they make money off of you for.
Yeah, they already made money off of it when they're telling you.
Right. It's no longer useful. Anyways, so
yeah.
Yes, it's in a cool sleeve. It's like in a sleeve. It feels more super protected. But I think it's like 1% of luster you kind of lose by it being in that sleeve. And I think just having it just really securely placed.
It
feels.
Do you think it's just because? Is it just because the sleeve takes away from seeing the full card?
Right. That's kind of my argument. Yeah. Well, yes. I think that's a big chunk of the argument. In general, though, it's like I just think the plastic quality just seems a little better.
Fiend, I actually just spaced out. I was still paying attention to how amazing that black label card was. Can you pull that back up? I don't know. You don't even need to repeat what you said. I just need to see the card again.
It's not only is it a beautiful case,
Yamato.
It's a beautiful card.
Ooh, yeah, dude.
Look how the color like just pops off.
This might be one of my favorite cards of yours.
It's most people consider this one of their favorite cards in the One Piece game. It's just in terms of art. It's a base set alt art.
It's just beautiful.
Great job. The good kid.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to have a separate discussion on like our quality pickups and prices and things.
Yeah. To your point, just to kind of end that thought, CGC does have a very cohesive, strong, good material, good taking care of the card presentation, if you will. Beckett is definitely, Black Label is really nice, but it definitely is very bulky. It's like a fucking brick of a case. It definitely feels protected. Like you could throw that thing at a wall and it still would be in great condition.
Test that, Fiend.
I think it might have been a little bit of an exaggeration. But
Throw it through the
I
drywall.
get what you're saying.
Right now.
The spirit of it.
Yeah. It's, you can spear that thing. You might even be able to get through the other side. But yeah, and then PSA is a little bit cheap. I think we can all agree on that. It's a very flimsy case. So
okay, then let's kind of dive into PSA a little bit. To kind of, I guess, start on that, I don't want to go too deep into the case yet, but I think the number one thing we should kind of talk about is the membership. It ain't cheap. You're paying $150 for that thing now. Jeez. Which it used to be $100. You think it's nickel and diming a little bit?
I think it's them letting the dust settle and establishing that they're on the throne.
So you think they can get away with it, so they're just doing it?
They're doing it now.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that seems a little cynical. I feel like they
Who's gonna fight them?
Well, they have two
Honestly.
pretty. I mean, they have pretty stiff competition, don't you think?
You think Apple's gonna keep? You think they're gonna lower their prices at any point?
Don't get me started on Apple. I have to buy a new iPad.
They're gonna put an extension on the extension to the USB-C.
They're making me buy a new Apple Pencil.
A couple years.
I'm really.
I mean, I got an adapter right here just to get all this stuff going.
It's disgusting. It makes me.
It's horrible. It's disgusting, but people will pay.
It's the brand.
Yeah, let's have a discussion on that too one day. Put a note in that on stuff that people just pay for out there at the ass, because
honestly, the
quality is above and beyond everything else.
Yeah. You could just look at the pop reports and just know that they're king by like more than double.
Okay, what makes them king?
Good point. It just seems more like.
And I'm not saying it as a dig or to disagree. I just think
it's just more the popularity. For some reason, it's just super popular, and they've just taken that platform completely over in just the third party market. Most streamers are talking specifically about PSA 10, like they're always just saying, they're always talking about PSA grades.
They pull a raw card and they're like, oh, this is worth this, and a PSA 10, that's a great point, actually.
They all know market prices for PSA graded cards, but they're not shouting out a lot of other cards like Beckett cards or like CGC graded cards for their prices, because I feel like they're a little harder to navigate to go grab like a price all the time. Like the price charts are really not as common to look for. Like you really do have to dig for it.
It's not updated for sure.
Yeah, they're not as updated. They don't bring out pop reports out into the limelight a lot more than PSA does. There's a lot more people that are commonly using PSA so much. Even like PSA's app is just easy.
I was actually going to say, it's something I forgot to talk about with the Beckett topic, but Beckett's pop report sucks. It's so bad.
Yeah, so that's another thing. It's just like Beckett doesn't give a shit about that then.
Yeah.
It's been long enough where we've been in this together long enough to know, like some of these grading companies have evolved while I've been in, and I've been late to the game, later than either of you. I've only been in for like 3 years. And like I saw CGC try to battle this. We watched Beckett try to battle PSA like one time. Literally that one time where, remember, they tried to say like, oh, we're going to do away with subgrades.
Just give you, like, flat grades. So funny. They like teased it And then people were like, no. And they're like, all right, we'll just go back to doing what we're doing
You're
anyway.
like, just kidding. Just kidding.
This is what happens when we
We're just not
try to
gonna do
change
that.
anything. You guys just complain, so we're just gonna not change anything ever.
So they basically just backed off of it.
Yeah.
And then like PSA just kept doing consistently the same thing they've been doing for the past like 3-4 years that I've been, conscious of grading. And they've just been consistently turning about. PSA 10s have just been commonly known as the high market value card, sought out by everybody on eBay. You get a full line of whatever you want to search for, and it's just the whole entire page is just PSA.
And you know what?
You
know what they did too? Just sorry to cut you off, but I think they stuck to their red. They are the only red distinct color, and they just made their red labels a nicer, finer red. It's like you can see that label from a million miles away, and it's them.
Yeah. And they've poked at us like we were just talking about. They upped their prices just as a feeler, just kept creeping it up like any other like subscription membership. And people are just like, all right, we're just gonna keep doing it. Like, it's fine. Because like they've had, I guess experiences with their turnaround on the grading. I think people have had more positive than negative.
Yeah.
Even with, they put out the offers of bulk grading, which is what really got us into grading a lot of stuff. So they really tried to, throw the lure out there, and we all bit it like Magikarp, and we just fucking just threw all our cards in a few times. So like, the prices for bulk grading, like you couldn't beat it. So like, and the turnaround time, you couldn't beat it either. So like they're very transparent about like where your cards were in the process. They really do a lot of like the grimy work in between the gray area stuff that like we all appreciate to really know what's happening with our cards. We're all working people Monday through Friday, or sometimes throughout all 7 days, and just like we can't just keep worrying about all this stuff. But like at the flip of our phone, like we could actually see on an email notification like where our cards are. So like Beckett, Steve, you already said that you had to literally pull them,
beg them,
and just nag them for it, and it was just super annoying.
And I think to your point, I think they've made that process easier. They're really good at engagement. As far as they throw out coupon codes, they have deals. We just submitted a bunch of cards because we're like, dude, we got to get these cards in. It's $1 cheaper, So like, that's crazy to think that we all were willing to do that for $1, And I probably threw in cards that I probably shouldn't have because I was just excited about submitting, So I think that says a lot. They definitely increased their quality, which I think matters, and they're the standard. At the end of the day, people. I don't think I ever check any cards I have. I've never checked CGC pop reports, and I don't want to keep throwing dirt on the CGC. I'm not trying to, but at the end of the day, it's like when I think of a standard, like my pop reports, I go straight to PSA's website. I don't even know what my cards are in CGC, and they probably are the same pop report, and that probably would, if in some degree, tarnish my view of some of the cards I have. But it's almost like out of sight, out of mind. Like I'd almost rather not even know because I feel like I have a card that's only 300 in population.
Yeah. Plus another point that I'm going to throw out there is because PSA's just flooded the market so much, people are just now unanimously just saying, hey, like we're going to keep grading with PSA because it's the common. It's become the common thing. Like if you want to resell cards, their whole resale market is PSA.
Yeah.
Like I can't offload a CGC card, like you said, Vahid.
Yeah.
Like if you really want to, if you want to turn around and offload cards in the future, it just seems like PSA is the easiest way to do it.
Yeah.
I would say that is medium term. By medium term, I mean the next like 5 to 10 years. In the grand scheme of things, I honestly think you're going to see a lot more parallels with at least CGC and PSA. I almost, the more you guys kind of talk about it, the more I'm thinking though, like, was it just really like as simple as like a first to market type of a thing though? Because like I feel like if CGC was in the same boat and they've had just all this time in that card space, it would be, they'd probably have very similar marketing, have a more robust website, for that type of stuff. So I don't think it's, I don't think there's not like, I don't think there's anything special that PSA is doing in particular. I think it helps, and I think it might be the most important thing is just like consistent. Like it's not the most harsh grader, it's not the easiest. They don't change their label. It's just they're just that through line that people will just be like, okay, I know what I'm getting, and I think that's fine.
Well said. Well summary. Good summary.
I don't think. I think it's probably like if you were to like give them a grade, they're not hitting like A pluses. Except for maybe on their like website in the UI or on that end, but in terms of like the card itself and all, solid A minus, B plus, maybe even an A here. But no, they're not blowing your socks off with anything. They're just that through line throughout the years, just going and going.
They're not using like AI steady to track your centering.
Yeah, they're not doing anything crazy.
Very much the same guy who was out of high school,
right?
Like know exactly what you're getting.
They have their really transparent grading scale. It's not too super overly complicated either. It's like most modern stuff that like you were just saying, these kids are grading are probably 9s and 10s, so it's like keep it simple, stupid,
keep people
just
excited.
Those two numbers is really what you have to focus on. You don't have to think about 10s, black label 10s, 9.5.
Right.
You don't have to like overanalyze that stuff, which also helps with getting stuff in and out. When we submitted, we submitted like 100 plus submission with PSA, and we sent that. I sent that after I sent the Beckett, which was just 2 cards, and I got the PSA submission back before the Beckett by like a few weeks. So yeah, I think just they have a really standardized thing, and I think that's the best thing I could say about them is just they're just consistent. It's like you may have obviously every grading company screws up here and there, but I think in terms of like standard deviation, they have the smallest, and which is a good thing because you don't want to be going back. Like I think the biggest standard deviation is clearly, at least at this point in time, is CGC because how strict it was, and then it wasn't, and then they changed their So hence the speed bump analogy, because they are kind of out of sorts right now, but once they're like fully calibrated and have like hit the ground running, I think we're going to see a lot more parity between the two. It's just between those two. Beckett's kind of its own thing. They're very much the Nintendo of the 3. If I were to like kind of compare it to video games, like Beckett's just doing its own thing. It's going to keep doing its own thing. And then you have Xbox and Sony, PSA, CGC, just kind of really competing with one another. And I think just in terms of, just to kind of wrap up my point is, I think for the foreseeable future, I think PSA is just going to be number one just because of consistency. Not because of anything special.
Yeah. And I think to your point, just on the one thing that you noted, I think if CGC maybe was in the market, if you said starting line, you guys are both going to start at the exact same time. I do think, as much as I'm taking a dump on CGC's chest, I do think that they might have had more time to adjust and understand their audience and not change things so drastically, and just give the people a moment to really like them. But I think because they came in like the younger brother that was just like hot and ready and just is ready to change things immediately. It just showed lack of experience, and I think PSA has been in it for so long that they understand we can't deviate too far away from what we normally do because people will feel that shock factor, and that's why people love us. They know what they're getting, even though we're not the greatest, we're not the strictest, and we might be giving out participation trophies. You know what you're getting when you show up to our office, where CGC is like the freaking PSA is like the Fortune 500 company that just has their systems and they do what they do, and CGC is like the startup company that's borrowing money from your family members. It's
which is why it kind of boggles my mind, because when all this kind of first started shaking out, I was like, oh, they're just gonna like do what they've done with the comic stuff and just now be consistent. And it's just like it feels like they've not quite hit their stride yet, because they basically did what PSA is doing with trading cards that they did with comics. Like they've had that consistent blue label and the really like standard scale, very transparent. So yeah, that's I'm thinking though it's probably just like different people running the show over there. It's not,
it's definitely not the same.
It's probably just different management and stuff. So
like I said, it's just definitely like a hot and ready, the newbies that are just saying like, let's just try this, let's try this, let's try that.
Yeah.
So I think time in the market, specifically trading cards, I think says a lot too. So we'll give them some saving grace.
So I don't think at the end of this, like we could still talk about more stuff, but it's probably going to be a little more granular in terms of like the grading stuff. But I think since we've kind of hit upon the three, I think probably our opinions really haven't changed all that much. I think PSA is kind of the standard bearer. So I think the more interesting question though is, who do you think is going to take, or who do you think is going to have more market share probably in the next 10 years, CGC or BGS?
Ooh, CGC.
Okay.
CGC.
I've been kind of looking at their grade, how many submissions they got. They do get a shit ton of submissions still. Like I said, they created a cult following.
And we're talking specifically about trading cards.
I know.
We're not talking about sports. No, I just, for the audience.
What about... No. Thank you for clarifying, Fiend. Yeah, no. I think specifically trading cards, specifically I would even say specific Pokemon, they have definitely created an audience. And there's people who, I hate to compare anything. This is not financial advice. Do not. Like, disclaimer. This is not a crypto reference, and this is not changed. But CGC has that like the Dogecoin effect, where people like it has not really made movement, but people are still buying it and still holding on to it and pumping half their check into it.
Are you calling CGC a meme?
I mean, I know you guys have CGC cards, no shame, but every CGC card I have is basically a Dugong 6.5. Let's put it that way.
They're a mystery slab.
A mystery goofy card.
Well, funny enough, when I was showing my examples, the one CGC regular card I showed off was the mystery pack card.
Yeah, exactly. So you secretly know. Yeah, exactly. Johnny pulled up a VMAX Climax card, got a perfect on it, but it's like, that's a VMAX Climax. Get that thing into a PSA slab.
I couldn't move that card if I tried.
Right now. Like no one would be searching it. So I think, just to finish that thought, it very much has that Dogecoin effect where people are just so about it, and they will still say the rocket's still going to the moon. Beckett just doesn't. They just don't have that effect. I think people will submit one or two cards here and there to try to get the black label. There's no cult following. So CGC is here. You got to give them what they're here for, but they're not touching PSA. I think we all know that. Yeah,
I think I probably got. I'm lined up basically with both of you. I just I think we might have different opinions in like a couple years with CGC. I don't think it'll be as much of a meme to style on them verbally. I think they might
We're stanky legging on them for sure right now.
I think they need to. I think once they just kind of get in their groove and they, people shut up about them. Not like that. Not us. Just I'm saying, like everything quiets down. Then I think this whole thing will be a really small blip that we'll kind of forget about in years to come. But for now, that micro analyzing will continue.
We're here for it. So tune in, subscribe.
And deserved, yeah, totally deserved.
Subscribe. Hit that dingity ding bell. If you guys like what you're listening to,
hit the dingity ding bell.
Join our.
That's what we're calling it.
Join
our dingity ding. Hit the dingity ding.
Hit the dingity ding.
No. It's no. It's the dingity ding.
Hit the dingity ding.
We need a soundboard.
I know. I kind of wish Discord. It was kind of like Discord.
Dingity ding.
But yeah, subscribe to the CAD Kingdom if you want more of our micro analysis.
Okay, let's kind of do a little bit of a rapid fire while we kind of wrap up.
Yeah.
We can kind of keep it to like 2-3 minute discussions because we're a little over an hour right now. So okay, when a grading company screws up, do you think it deserves a premium price on that? Like, for instance, I think we all saw that upside down Giratina that sold for a lot more money. So do you think it's deserved? Would you pay for an upside down card, especially if it was like a chase card?
Like,
would you pay extra for
more?
that? Yeah.
Not if it's like that. If it's an upside down, that's just stupid. Like, and people will be like, error. Like, that's not an error. That's just stupid. I would not pay more for that.
Johnny?
No, I would definitely not pay more for that. I couldn't even afford it regardless.
Let me see what the actual price. So you want to know what the price of that upside down Giratina sold for?
I mean, at that time, it was probably still lower than what it's going for now. Like, regular.
So what do you think?
I mean, back in
someone dropped guap on that thing.
So what? Before, what was it worth? Like, this is a 10. This is a PSA 10.
Yeah, Giratina.
So what? Back in the day, it might have been 10. Like what? $300 is probably where it was before sitting. So maybe this thing was like 700, 500.
Yeah. Johnny, what do you think?
I think closer to $9,000 to $1,000. They paid the upside down.
Yeah, they spent $3,000.
What?
Get the fuck out of here.
That's what I'm saying.
Get the fuck out of here.
Dude, it's
just
inflated
like
now and it's not even hitting that.
It's just,
see. Okay.
That makes me mad. That just makes me. It's just I'm not more mind boggled by it. I'm just more mad.
Yeah. So like when I was saying like how, not in this conversation, but I say how irrational sometimes like the wider markets can be, and it gets even more irrational with stuff like this because there's like kids involved and a lot more not seasoned. I don't want to use the word investor type because it definitely brings a certain level of a certain frame of mind that could be very much not what I'm trying to get at, but just someone with just experience and like maturity, and this is very much an immature buy. like $3,000 for a card that is it's 10x its value basically at the time. Like that's way more than a black label. It's insane.
Yeah.
All right, so we're all in agreement.
Irrational.
So error cards, case error cards do not deserve a 10x premium.
No.
Yeah, it was so
Would you
stupid.
pay any premium for that?
No.
Not at all.
No, I just think it's a mistake, and that's not.
If you
that
had
has
one
nothing to
side
do-
by side, if you had a regular and the upside down one side by side, would you pay?
I would still go with the regular, and I'll say why. A lot of people who buy cards, especially now, will buy the card before they buy the grade. So because of that, if the condition or the cut or anything that has to do with the card is not errored, it's literally just a stupidity thing, and I will not pay for stupidity.
Fair enough.
Any grading companies that you see that have potential to enter this market?
Okay, so we're gonna have that discussion now. Okay, so fine.
I gotta go one.
No, we all. I think we're all thinking of the same one.
Oh, really? Are we?
the one other grading company
Interesting.
that's semi interesting. Yeah.
All right, wait. So say it.
The Japanese one.
Oh, okay. You know it. Is that Johnny, you were gonna say it too?
I know of that one.
Oh, it's called,
Yeah,
it's
so-
called ARS.
Why
Let's
don't you talk about it?
Let's talk about
Yeah.
it. I've held it in my hand. It is very nice. It definitely follows that Japanese standard, which is just perfectionism. You know, I think they definitely have followed this idea that, hey, it's not just a card on a flimsy slab. Let's actually make this an art piece. And they put the card on top. They put the grade on the. They put the not inscripted. What is it? When you
Engraved.
engraved, they have an engraved label on the bottom, the grades on the back, so you can really pay attention to the art. It's basically on its own, almost like mini stand is really what it looks like. It is a gorgeous thing. It's massive. It's like pretty thick, so it's a nice display piece. It looks like if you put a card on a grading, those like little stands. It's almost like you put it on that, but the entire graded slab looks like that. It is very well done, and has made very mediocre cards look really nice. So I've seen it in person. I've seen what it looks like. It's really nice, and I think specifically, if I had to say where are they gonna win, I would say Japanese cards may end up pivoting that direction. I think it's already started. I think they're even kind of on a waiting list even right now. It's like every quarter they will actually take submissions. So the demand is there, especially in the Japanese market because they're all right there. And, not only does it look really nice, it's like you can even get a certificate that even identifies the card and talks about the card, and when you almost like it's birth certificate, you can get that with the card for an additional fee, and that's just again, it's doing a lot of extra things that we don't think about when we make a million slabs and we just stack them in PSA. Like, you don't stack these slabs. This is like something that every card gets the attention.
Yeah, because we microwave it here.
Right.
We live in a microwave society where in Japan everything is just very fine-tuned.
Mm-hmm.
Attention to detail, everything.
Mm-hmm. And I think,
But when your total population of all your cards is like in the millions, do you care about a piece of paper at that point? Would you just prefer the digital footprint of the greater notes?
I think it
or
depends on the
something?
cards. I think it depends. Like, if we're saying, for an example, like if we're saying, a Moonbryon or something that's like extremely high population and it's just a million of them out there, maybe I wouldn't want a certificate because it's like, oh, what is this thing? It's just another one. But if you get a card that is relatively low population, or it's a little bit rarer, a little more specific, or even signed, I don't know how deep they've gone with signatures.
Illustration rare Bulbasaur
would be iconic, like if you're talking specific art, if you're actually thinking like on the level of art, perfectionism, detail, it should be a card that's not necessarily getting spewed out the machine, right? So I think the Japanese market is going to start shifting that way, and they're going to get a lot of that share. And I also think, maybe only because I've seen it on a Yu-Gi-Oh scale, but I think a lot of these Yu-Gi-Oh cards even look really sick, and I've seen them in the Japanese, the slabs. So they might even take some of the Yu-Gi-Oh market too. I haven't seen Pokemon as much, but I think they will definitely carve their way in because people love Japan. And Pokemon, at the end of the day, Yu-Gi-Oh, a lot of these things are from Japan, right? So they have the ability to create a following. So those are my thoughts.
I think a couple of things.
Yeah.
I don't know how I necessarily feel if I'm like a customer looking around at a bunch of cards that are in these slabs and then not seeing the grade. It's also more, I'm just thinking like on like that practical level, like obviously like when you're just displaying it, it's like a little different of a thing, and especially to people that don't really, it feels like from just thinking in a more generalized sense, their philosophy is just like, yes, we want to make this for the layman, so that way someone could display this as just a piece of art, and if someone chooses to approach this and look deeper, they can find all that information.
Yeah, like card
is
first, grade second.
Certainly right. Yeah, and which is it's totally a philosophy that is not being explored enough
at all.
So I think
really.
So I think it's worth trying out to see what the market says. I'm a little, I as of now, I think I'm a little torn, but I definitely think it's good to try this, especially because they are going a different direction, but also trying to execute it very seriously, like kind of like what you're saying. They're trying to be very meticulous and perfectionist about it, which is cool. And the fact that, if you submit something in Japanese, you're going to get a Japanese label, like that's really interesting to me. So yeah, I think just in terms of all that stuff, it's great. Practicality, economically, when you're in a shop or something, it can be kind of a pain in the neck, especially for the shopkeeper that will probably have to make a little label saying this is a 10, this is a 9.
Good point. Probably sellability also, if it's coming from Japan, that might be a factor, right?
I'm less worried about that because I'm sure they'll just kind of disperse throughout the world as time goes on. So eventually people in the States will own it.
Yeah.
So I'm not too, that's like less of a concern. I guess right now it could be, but I buy enough stuff from Japan and I get it quick enough anyway, so it wouldn't be that crazy. One thing, I think the biggest thing I feel the most negative about, I don't even know if I feel negative. I just feel like my gut right now is telling me I don't know if I like the thick border on the outside. I don't know if you guys have it up, but the outside seems really thick, and it's not exactly like, it feels like it already has like a bumper.
Oh yeah,
on it or something.
Right now, yep.
Even though
it just looks completely different from the card. It looks like one of those protectors that you put.
But
on
it's
a
not a
slab.
protector.
Is that what it is?
It looks like a protector, but it's not a protector. Or maybe it is.
I don't think it is. I think I've held one and I didn't get that feel, so it might not actually look like that. Okay, let me actually, can you see? I took a picture.
One sec.
Actually, I'll just show you. Like maybe in this one, it actually looks a little bit less like it. Like it looks less like. Can you see it?
It looks less. It does look less.
Yeah, and this is
the bottom looks a little thicker, but the way the light is showing, the top looks a little clearer.
Yeah.
Which, if that's the case, then that's fine. I think But in some of these pictures, it seems pretty thick on the outside.
Yeah, it's not as thick as
But
you think. Pause.
As I was like just starting the discussion, I was like, I'm surprised no one's tripping up over this. There, we got it.
We got it in.
We
We
got
have to get it in.
We got it in.
Pause again.
There it is.
Oh,
But yeah, I think that they probably have the most or the biggest opportunity to shake up the market a bit, for sure.
Yeah,
I
like it.
Yeah, I think we did.
yeah, I think
that was a pretty good discussion.
We let out all the dirty laundry on on slabs and grading that we know of right now. I mean, we've had our horror stories and our successes.
Yeah, and we didn't even really talk about like grading, like their scale of how they actually grade and what our experience.
Yeah.
Shout out to the 4 PSA Bulbasaur, RIP. But anyway, yeah, I think we can go into a whole another conversation or even a sub conversation about that.
Yeah, let's do that next time.
Yeah.
Yep, we do it for the CADs.
Do it for the cat.
Welcome to the CAD Kingdom.